Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's, well, a huge human mystery: addiction. How can someone cling to the very thing that's destroying them? We're going to break it all down, looking at what it really is, why it happens, and maybe most importantly, the incredible story of recovery.
All right, let's jump right into the big paradox here. You've got something that's causing just immense pain, right? But the person going through it just can't seem to let it go. Why is that? It's a question that really gets to the core of what we're talking about today.
And this quote, wow, it just nails that paradox. Think about it. Imagine a fairy godmother pops up and says, "Hey, I can make all this pain go away. I'll just snap my fingers and all the drugs will disappear." You'd think that'd be a dream come true, right? But for most people deep in addiction, the reaction would be to howl, to protest, and to break that magic wand in half. That's the tragic puzzle we need to solve. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we've got to get our terms straight first. You hear words like tolerance, dependence, and addiction thrown around all the time, sometimes like they're the same thing, but they're not. They mean very different things, and the distinction is super important.
All right, first up, tolerance. This one's actually a pretty simple, totally natural process. You know that morning coffee? Remember when one cup was like a rocket launch for your brain? And now maybe you need two or even three just to feel normal. Yep, that's tolerance. Your body just gets used to it and adapts, so you need more to get that same old feeling.
So, tolerance can often lead to the next step, which is dependence. This is where your body has gotten so used to the substance that it needs it just to feel normal. If you take it away, you get withdrawal. And get this, withdrawal symptoms are usually the exact opposite of what the drug does. So, if you stop taking something that calms you down, you don't just go back to normal. You can get hit with a wave of intense anxiety.
Okay, but here's the really crucial part, and this might actually surprise you. You can be totally physically dependent on a drug and not be addicted. How's that work? Well, think about someone with chronic pain who's been on prescribed medication for years. Their body for sure needs that medication to avoid withdrawal, but they aren't compulsively trying to get more, and it isn't destroying their life. And that difference is everything. And that leads us to what addiction really is. It's not about tolerance, it's not just about dependence. At its core, addiction is a pattern of behavior. It's when you keep using a substance compulsively, even when it's causing real harm. That last bit, in the face of harm, that is the absolute key. When things are going wrong because of the substance and you just can't stop, that's addiction.
So, the big question is, why? If it's so harmful, why does it happen? Well, the answer has nothing to do with being a bad person or having weak willpower. It's actually a story about a massive mismatch, a collision between our ancient, evolved brains and the crazy world we live in today. Okay, picture this. For pretty much all of human history, our brains evolved to be these incredible reward-seeking missiles. But the targets, like high-calorie food or safety, were super rare, so our brains got really, really good at finding them. But then, bam! Suddenly that ancient brain gets dropped into our modern world, which is just flooded with cheap, easy, hyper-potent, man-made rewards, like drugs. Our brains were just never built for this. And this quote, it's the perfect way to describe what that feels like. It's like the gas pedal in your brain is stuck to the floor, and your brakes are failing at the exact same time. What's happening is that these drugs literally hijack the brain's reward system. The dopamine system, which is like our brain's gas pedal for motivation, gets slammed down, screaming more, more, more. And at the same time, the part of our brain that acts as the brakes, the part that helps us make good decisions, it just starts to give out. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's insane. In barely 100 years, which is just a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, we invent the hypodermic needle. We synthesize things like cocaine and heroin. We mass-produce cigarettes. We basically created a whole new chemical world, packed with these super rewards that our old-school biology just had zero defenses against. And it's not just that the substances appeared. We then built an entire culture around them, specifically designed to exploit that biological weakness. Think about it. Massive marketing campaigns that made smoking look cool or drinking look sophisticated. We basically normalized and even glamorized this stuff, turning what should have been a public health issue into a massively profitable business. So what happens when you have this ancient brain in this new supercharged world? Well, the result has been nothing short of a public health catastrophe. And the scale of it's honestly hard to wrap your head around. Just let this number sink in for a second.
1 in every 6 deaths among adults worldwide is linked to the use of addictive drugs. 1 in 6. That is staggering. Now, when we think about deadly drugs, our minds usually jump to the illegal stuff, right? But this chart, it just completely shatters that idea. The biggest killers by an enormous margin are the legal, mass-marketed ones, tobacco and alcohol. We're talking about millions upon millions of deaths every single year, and that's no accident. It's a direct consequence of how available and socially accepted they are. And you don't have to look far to see a modern-day example of this. Just look at the opioid crisis in North America. A flood of prescription opioids was supposed to solve a pain problem. Instead, it created one of the worst addiction epidemics we've ever seen. The formula is just brutally simple. The more available something is, the more harm it's going to cause. Okay, so after hearing all of that, it would be really, really easy to just feel completely hopeless. But if you stop there, you'd be missing the most important part of this whole story. Because here's the thing. As powerful as addiction is, recovery isn't some rare miracle. It's not the exception. It's a common, widespread reality. So you have to ask, right? After everything we've talked about, the hijacked brain, this world that's practically engineered to create addiction, is getting better even possible? Or is it just a nice fantasy? Well, the answer is a huge, resounding yes. Recovery is possible. Just look at this number, 22.3 million. That's how many Americans say they used to have a serious problem with drugs or alcohol, and now they consider themselves recovered. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of Florida. Recovery isn't some fantasy. It's happening all around us every single day. And what does recovery actually look like? It's so much more than just stopping. As this person's story shows, it's about starting over. It's about your daughter learning to trust you again. It's about your family starting to forgive you. It's about learning how to love each other without the substance in the middle of everything. It's this incredible testament to our ability to change. And it's the most important takeaway of all. No matter how dark things get, there is always, always another path.